Dr. Harakopoulos.
Παρότι είμαστε όλοι κουρασμένοι.
We're all tired because I think this panel was very interesting, and it's interesting that we had the opportunity of listening to find out religious education in 3 different countries. Greece, we had former Minister Stylianides, and the Orthodox Church and tradition is important because of national struggles. In Hungary, in a country that went through the ordeal of communism, we see that there is a rapprochement. But if I understood you correctly, in public education, religious education is not compulsory. Only 1/4 of pupils are in religious or knowledge-providing schools. Is there a sort of lesson on religious studies? And Albania was one of the few countries where atheism was established during the time of Enver Hoxha. So we have generations of people who have grown up without an elementary religious education because all religion was persecuted, not only Christians. And my idea is that the question of religious education, we have to discuss the role of the church in that, but I think this should be taught to all and compulsory, because we have migrant currents and we have incoming migrants who do not share the same values. If they wish to assimilate into Europe, they should know who are the people who live here. And religion and Christian values have jointly forged and shaped modern European man. In Albania, where we have 3 different religions, Muslims, Roman Catholics, and Orthodox in the south, is there a religious studies lesson taught in schools? Dr. Migdalis, Mr. Stylianides, you're an experienced politician. From Finland to Crete, Europe is full of belfries. But since 20 years, there is a development in the European Union which gradually wishes to delete Christianity from the European roadmap. And that is in absentia of politicians. No one has said that this is beneficial for Europe. Which mechanisms are those? Genscher said that it's the politicians who are involved. If this effort is not successful, and we have to focus I'm not sure whether we're conscious of what will happen, because we will let Christian values in the hands of churches, and the churches would be the bodies who will be asked to maintain Christian values as a sort of lighting a candle or an oil lamp. How do you see all this system? Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Migdalis. First, Mr. Polo.
Yeah, thank you. That's true. I mean, Albania, unfortunately, is a unique case in the world since, as Enver Hoxha, the communist regime, in 1967 abolished all religious institutions. The clergymen had to go into civilian life and sometimes work hard labor. If there was, in the 70s then, if there was secret baptism, I mean, the priest could go in prison and for long years. That was reversed with the fall of communism and the advent of democracy, and there were relatively sufficient people who remembered and were the basis for restoring the religious institution, including the Christian churches. So there are 4 communities actually, because the Muslims are Sunni and Bektashi in Albania, and Bektashi are important in numbers and in historical social contribution. In terms of education, the public education includes history of religion with content of theology in the primary schools and in the secondary schools. There is no catechism in the classical sense. There are options in the private schools. So, I mean, especially the Christian churches, they have developed educational institutions from the kindergarten to the university. There is also it's called the Bedr University, which teaches Islamic theology with professors that are trained in mostly in Europe and not elsewhere. That is the basic idea. I hope it will work long term. But this is it. I mean, and there has been debate about whether it should in the public system, the history of religion with elements of theology should be expanded in a way or another in the light of the challenges that Albania has faced, but not significant changes has been undertaken there. That's how we stand on it.
Thank you very much.
During my political career, I met many political leaders from around the world. One of them was Helmut Kohl, who said that I'm scared for Europe when it will be governed by politicians who have not been through the war, through the tragedy of war. Because although Europe has left a positive footprint, and instead of battlefields we have negotiation tables, but it nevertheless it's governed by technocrats who are very useful, but the elected politicians should play an important role, because elected politicians express the dynamics of society. It's not simply a question of algorithms. This is a serious matter. We have to find this. So on your question, what we have to note, both in national and European level, is not the same as we used to know, left wing, center and right wing. There is one camp of believers in a culture of entitlement who obliterate all values supported by the other camp. Sexual orientation, this is an individual right, and the tolerance of society towards such a person should exist, but the importance of family is important. And if one dismantles or undermines the other, nature and balance is put into question. I think we shall have those of entitlement supporters and those who support a value code which has been with us since humanity began. Five political leaders in the Hellenic Parliament were in favor of same-sex marriage, but 76 deputies from all parties were against. I disagreed with my party. The society is the ultimate judge, and we have to point out, but I think this is less important than what is coming. I'm discussing questions of artificial intelligence from a political and juridical perspective. A new invasion is coming, and it has positive aspects, but also dangers. It's difficult in terms of law to legislate, but you also have to be vigilant, because this university community will have an added value, plus value, when we deal with the new dilemmas caused by these decisions. We have philosophy, we have human science and technology. I think that the side of technology has grown, whereas the other has atrophied. I think it's important for human sciences, including theology, to balance out this technological progress, which otherwise will lead us to an impasse. We have serious, legal informatics, but there is also the question of philosophy of AI, because we cultivate the notion of Superman and Postman, and this Superman will not live for 70 or 75 years, but maybe live through to an age of 150, which has repercussions for our welfare systems, with avatars and internet and so on. But he will not be a man. The algorithm, as in ChatGPT, can have a response to your questions, but the greatest distance in the world is the distance between the mind and the heart. And this is the distance we try to cover by serving various sciences. So we need to prepare society to deal with what is coming. To put it simply, we've lost our children and teachers, because parents and teachers were overwhelmed by mobile telephony. And they create a generation which was not prepared for it. Parents were absorbed in their jobs. Teachers were probably cut off from development. And they have this mobile, and I'm not discussing this in a phobic manner. I think, however, that we need to protect, if we have the theological, humane aspect within this framework which you have described. Parliamentary democracy, the way we know it, is it enabled through European Parliament or local parliaments? Can they fight? Because Euro MPs are burdened with a lot of things. A greater part of power comes with the technocrats. And frequently, I'm not sure that the democracy we know can undertake this workload. The response is very simple. Everything is a question of education. You have to vote those people who morally and politically have the ability to resist and to be successful. My colleague Thanasis Davakis wishes to ask something. I wish to thank Dr. Harakopoulos for some time now. I listen to religious education. I asked Dr. Harakopoulos, this refers to compulsory education, in other words, primary and secondary schools and so on. My view is, I come from a conservative family, and the conservative wing of the party, and I would like to say that there is no religious education. Religious education in primary and secondary school is frequently unheeded. I was in school from 66 to 79, and we had theologians and religious knowledge, people who went to Mount Athos, great theologians, and I was very fortunate because we had certain foundations which started from the family, from family experience. It's important for children, not as Evripidis said about mobile telephones and so on. This is not. We have a time when theologians are something of a picturesque presence in secondary education. And I'm saying that a bit provocatively, because this is how I understand it. My daughter is in the first class of Lyceum, upper secondary education, in other words. She has a tendency towards religion. When we were taught religion, we learned all about the church artifacts, and theology professors transmitted things which are not anymore. Same thing with classical education. And this created a certain approach to classical education. So religious education should, if a pupil has a family background, then he can understand this, but otherwise it's a lost cause. And tell me, can we have religious education in a more modern form? I don't know. I don't think so. I think this is the agony in the theological faculties and politicians who deal with this matter and who create this situation. This is very important matter. A lot of discussion has taken place. Before we conclude, I would like to a phrase of the Ecumenical Patriarch at the European Parliament in Strasbourg. The request for the future of Europe is cultural and spiritual. It's a question of mutual perichoresis. So within this spirit, I think we can conclude our day's work, thanking all the speakers and the panelists, and also the panelists of previous. I would like to thank the Secretariat of the I.A.O, and I would also like to thank the interpreters. Thank you.
Let me in turn thank the organizing committee.